What's your pigtail? Thank you. Lay down. Thank you. Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. My name's Annie and I'm the Green Witch. Can I have my lap back? Thank you. Oh, no, I can't. No, you just have sillies. You just have sillies in your bones. I know. All right, see you later. Okay, today I'm gonna be talking about 5 signs that you're a Green Witch. I feel like on my channel I talk a lot in really big, broad terms, especially when it comes to witchcraft. And I know for a lot of you, you guys kind of want to see in a little bit more of my practices and more specifically Green Witch practices. And I think this video would be a good segue into opening up a little bit more about my practices because I think it's important to understand what makes a Green Witch in the first place. Because if you couldn't already tell, I am a Green Witch. So I want to help those of you that are kind of in the same boat as me when I figured it out. So without further ado, let's get into the 5 signs you're a Green Witch. So, number 1, you find herbalism intriguing. This was the first sign that kind of showed up for me, and it was actually one of the first things that got me into witchcraft. Herbalism is what made me aware of witchcraft. It's what pushed me to understand the energies of the world around us and how we can manipulate them and constructively create what we wish. I've always had this deep fascination with herbalism and herbal medicine and healing. I used to spend all day, every day in between each of my classes doing everything I could to just study herbalism and read every book I could get my hands on, anything on healing teas, healing spices, anything. I have filled countless journals and developed my own systems of studying and trying to build some sort of glossary, dictionary type deal thing for myself that I can point to and pick out exactly what I'm looking for. I have basically dedicated the majority of my life at this point to studying herbalism, and I'm actually working on becoming a recognized master herbalist. So it is something that is a huge, deeply ingrained part of my life. When I'm studying herbalism, I find myself in this realm of just complete peace and bliss. And I've watched it do so many incredible things. Studying herbalism and natural medicine is an important part of my practice. It's one of the main ways that I work. So I thought it was important to put this as number 1 because for me, this was the biggest sign that I was a Green Witch. And if you're kind of following the same path as me, maybe that'll be it for you too. Are you coming back? I don't even know what to do. Alrighty, so yesterday I decided that the dogs needed to take some precedence over filming this video. If you couldn't tell by the, well... You're a weird dog. Yeah. Oh. So I'm back again wearing the same outfit because I gotta continue that theme, you know, aesthetics, stuff like that. And I'm hoping for fewer dog interruptions today. Though they are sweet, they make it very difficult to film. But anyways, yesterday I had to go play with my puppies instead of filming this video, so I got that first part done, but now I gotta finish the rest of it. So now, the second sign that you are a Green Witch. So this one is sort of a continuation on the last one. But I think it's important to note that just a simple fascination with herbalism isn't quite enough to cut it when it comes to concluding that you are a Green Witch. Because herbalism itself can fit into different paths of witchcraft and other facets of things that don't even necessarily need to relate to your path. You actually have to put those skills that you're learning to the test. All of my practices revolve around herbalism. I'm always concocting tinctures and tonics and teas. All of my spells and rituals include an herbal element if they aren't all herbal elements. Honestly, they are all pretty much herbal elements, let's be real. But personally, I believe that a Green Witch, and probably more specifically within my practice, is first and foremost an herbalist and a healer. I've put a lot of effort and work into delving deep into natural healing for my own health purposes. I've spent a lot of my life struggling with my health, and there are places where modern medicine has failed me. I have a pretty rare condition that doesn't always fit into the neat little boxes doctors like to set up for you. So treatment options tend to be fairly limited or unpleasant, to say the least. So oftentimes I'm left with this space where there's really nothing to fill it, but there's clearly problems that need to be fixed. And with my understanding of herbalism and my knowledge of natural healing, I've been able to kind of fill in the cracks that doctors in modern medicine couldn't quite figure out. And of course, I believe that there's a time and a place for modern medicine. Absolutely. I mean, if you need to take antibiotics to heal an infection, please take antibiotics to heal your infection. Or if you need a surgery to save your life, it's absolutely necessary. I, for one, rely a lot on modern medicine, and it's what's kept me alive and functional. But there are times where I feel like going the natural way is the better way, and I've seen that a lot with what I've done for myself. And from personal experience, I've seen that work pretty well. So a lot of my practices when I was starting out really did revolve around my own health and improve some quality of life, I suppose. But you don't all have to have some dramatic life story like me to be interested in herbalism and being an herbalist and concocting things. But I do feel that at least the herbalist part and creating things with your herbal knowledge is essential to becoming a green witch. Now this next one, I don't believe you have to be entirely gifted with, because I do think it can be a learned skill. But oftentimes I have noticed that green witches tend to be fairly naturally gifted with a green thumb. Perhaps this is because somebody with an aptitude for gardening and, well, a witchy disposition will naturally be drawn to a path that's more within that realm of things. But I figured I'd toss it in there as well. My father is a gardener, and a damn good one at that. So I grew up with a garden, and a lot of my childhood memories are centered around it. And in the summer months, we would always have fresh, homegrown foods in our dinners and pretty much every meal we had. So it's just always been this integral piece of my life. I mean, I would even steal terracotta pots from my mother so that I could plant weeds in them from all over the yard and grow them in my little forest forts. And the second I had any real money, I bought myself some plants, and then some more plants, and then even more plants after that. And now it's kind of out of control, and everything's a jungle if you can't tell by what's around me. But it's okay. But anyways, I think having a green thumb and being able to have your own garden is an important part of being a green witch, because so much of a green witch's practices revolve around what they can grow. And well, if you struggle with growing things, maybe the green witch path isn't quite the right path for you. I think you could still do it. I'm not saying it's an absolute no, but it may be a little bit harder. Now this can hold true for a handful of paths, such as a sea witch or an elemental witch. But it is an integral part of being a green witch, as well your practices revolve pretty strictly around nature. Witchcraft itself involves the use of natural energies to manipulate the world around you. And a witch recognizes that magic, or these energies that we work with, are natural phenomena, as they do occur candidly around us. So, of course, yes, all witches in some degree or another must have some respect for nature. But those of us that are drawn to the green witch path tend to feel more at home in nature, and it's this greater yearning for it than just this respect for it. I prefer when I'm indoors to have as many elements of the outdoors with me as I can, if you can't tell by the plants already, but even when I'm sleeping, I can't sleep unless the window's open and I can smell the outside air. I only perform spells and rituals outside because it's the only place that feels right to me. And even though all practices of each individual green witch is unique, there is always a connection to nature and a deep, deep respect for it. Just as I discussed in the previous sign, this little tidbit isn't necessarily unique to being a green witch, but it is an instrumental part in it. In many understandings of witchcraft and in many practices that are common across the spectrum of workings, there's typically an employment of the elements, which are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Well, not everybody practices with spirit, but it is still one to keep in mind. Depending on the witch's belief system, this can either be incredibly instrumental in their practices, or it can simply be a little nod that you'll see here and there. The elements themselves are understood as the fundamental building blocks of the universe. They are found in everything, and they are responsible for the eternal cycles of life, death, and rebirth. They're an important aspect of the natural world, and many of those that follow the Wiccan religion see them as sacred. I'm not going to get too into this now because I do plan on doing separate videos on them, but I do think it's important to note that there is typically a recognition of the elements in a Green Witch's practices. Green witchcraft is an incredibly immersing experience that encompasses all aspects of a person's life. The path of a Green Witch is incredibly individualized because there really isn't any formal training or this established practice out there for all of us to follow. There are building blocks, and there are plenty of witches like me and people that came before me that are happy to share our practices and the things that we've learned and help those of you that are kind of new to this stuff and just starting to figure it out. But we all do practice individually and practice for ourselves, because the path is as unique and individual as the person practicing it. We're all different. All of our lives have sculpted us into these very individualized beings. And it would be absolutely absurd to believe that all of us would practice the same, because we just simply aren't the same. What works really well for me isn't necessarily going to work really well for you. It has to be felt out and understood. And I know I say this a lot, and it's probably really cheesy and corny and whatever, but that uniqueness of everybody's practice is what really makes it so beautiful to me. And honestly, I do know that I'm gonna get some comments of people saying, I don't believe you should label yourself, and that's great, that's perfect for you, I'm happy for you. And I do believe that labeling can be restrictive, but for me, I found a home with it, and it's what really does make the most sense for me. I also believe that you don't have to tie yourself down to a label your entire life. I mean, witchcraft is fluid and it changes and it grows with you. So as you grow and change, and as your life grows and changes, your label will change. It's just a natural piece of life. You will continue to evolve, and that's perfectly fine. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry about all the dog interruptions in the beginning. I love my puppies, and I may be a little biased, but I think they're pretty cute, so I put a lot of them in. There was literally 25 minutes of footage of them just being absolutely bonkers, so I did cut it down quite a bit. I'll stick more at the end though for anybody who likes puppies a little too much, like me. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any more comments, questions, concerns, put them down below and I will try my best to answer you as quickly as I can. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh gosh, alright, I give up on filming. Oh, hi. I see you! I don't even know what to do. What's going on here? Oh my god. Oh, you're getting wagged in the face. You're getting wagged in the face. Henry, what are you even doing? Can you just lay down? What's going on now? Ah! Natural world. Yeah.